Hey everyone, thanks for checking out my channel. My name is Jesse Reynard and I'm going to show you how to edit a picture in Adobe Lightroom. I know I've showed this a couple times before, but this will be a different approach, and you can definitely gather some quick tips on how to turn a normal photo into something sweet. Alright, so as you can see right now, highlights are kind of, oh shoot. Okay, so as we can see now, the highlights are kind of blown out. It's just a very flat photo. So just starting from top to bottom, I'm just going to keep the white balance as it is for now. For exposure, since I kind of overexposed here, I was having a hard time actually seeing the picture through live view. I was shooting on a Sony A7, so I just went to overexpose just to be sure. But I'm just going to drop the exposure down for now. I'm going to eliminate some of the contrast. I am going to decrease the highlights to about negative 57, 47 for now. Shadows I'm going to bring in again, so about negative 36. Whites I'm going to increase since it's winter. Just want them to be a little bit brighter, and for blacks I'm going to bring down, so probably around negative 19. A range. Now typically for clarity I don't go too crazy with it, so if we decrease it, it's just going to make it look really soft. If I increase it, it's just going to be super crisp. So I'm just going to make it to about 10. Now for dehaze, this is the route I like to take to add back the contrast. You can do it however you want. I don't go too crazy with it. I'm just going to increase it to about 25. Vibrance, you can either decrease it if you want that look. For me, I'm going to actually increase it to about 22 and then drop the saturation to about 16 for now. So now if we want to look at the before and after, just to give you an idea, that's the before, this is after. So it's starting to look a little bit better, just bringing back the detail that we want. So now going down to the tone curve, I'm just going to do the typical S. This is what you normally would want to do. We're going to add a little bit of fade in there, nothing too crazy. And this is where I like to get a little crazy with curves, so I'm going to adjust the tone on red, green, and blue channels, and basically doing what we did before. So just adding in the S. So if this is your first time doing it, it's probably going to look a little wacky at first, as you can tell, but as we adjust each channel, it's going to kind of equal it out a little bit. And you don't have to do this. This is just kind of the approach I like to take. It almost adds an extra dimension into each layer. It's hard to explain, but it almost like it adds contrast in a way. I might not even know. I might not even know what I'm talking about right now, but yeah. So I'm just gonna adjust these very quickly. I'm kind of rushing this edit, so bear with me. This is just for the sake of the video, but I think I kind of like how it is right now. So the before, the after, before, after. Alright, so now going down to the color HSL, so we have the hue, saturation, luminance. Red, I always like to bring it to an orange almost, like make it more orange, especially in winter when you have a lot of red in the skin tones. Nobody really likes that, so why don't we just equalize it and make it a little bit orange. Now changing the orange hue, we're going to bring it to be a little bit yellow. So now going to the blues, just going to probably leave those as they are. I don't want to get too crazy with messing with the blues too much. Alright, so for the saturation is where I'm going to bring it down a bit. So as we can tell, if we increase it, it's just bringing out the red, right? So we don't want that. So we're just going to decrease it. And by the way, this is JR Kingdon. I think I pronounced your name right, JR. I'm going to drop his Instagram in the description, so make sure you guys give him a follow. He's super cool dude, great photographer, and I was lucky to have him let me take his photo here. So I always like to increase the oranges. The yellows we're actually going to decrease. Greens I like to really drop down. The blues we're going to drop as well. This is a trick to making snow look white, by the way. Aqua we're just going to leave for now. And then for luminance, this is basically increasing the brightness of that specific hue. So we're just going to increase it in the red. I'm going to increase it in the orange to brighten his face. Maybe brighten up the yellows a little bit. Greens will leave. And that's basically it for luminance for me. So as we can see before, super exposed photo. After, looking way better. And I'm just going to increase the exposure back to, I want it to be a bright photo, so probably around the 40 range, negative 40. I'm also going to warm up the picture a bit. So I think I'm happy with that. Adding tint. Yeah, that looks good. So I'm just going to mess with the curve a little bit here again. Just going to boost up the midtones a bit. Alright, so I think I'm happy so far. So basically you could just cut it right there and be done, be happy with the photo. We're just going to check off a few more things. So going to lens corrections, I like to just check this stuff off. And as you can tell, even just by going to enable profile corrections, it actually removes all the vignetting on the edges, so it almost brightens your image. So I'm just going to drop the exposure down again just a tad. And going to the highlights, I always like to add split toning in, so I'm going to add a little orange into the highlights. You don't want to go too crazy with it, so I'm just going to keep it around the 6 range. And then for the shadows, we are going to add some blue. So again, nothing too insane, probably going to keep it at around 7. And then I'm going to switch the balance and bring it to about 40. So I think I'm happy with that. Yep, that looks good. Sharpening, I just usually keep it as it is. I don't really get too crazy with sharpening. So under lens corrections, you have profile where you basically just adjust, like you could just automatically adjust the way the distortion is vignetting based off of the lens that is on the camera. So I shot this with a 50mm 1.8 Sony. I'm going to manually add in a little distortion. Not going to go too crazy with it. And then for transform, we're just going to straighten this up a bit. The background is a hill, so having the trees on an angle makes sense because they were actually on an angle, but I think I'm pretty happy with the way that is. And then really the last thing, well, two last things I'm going to do, I'm going to manually add in grain. This is what I like to do on all my images. So I like to have high roughness. I'm going to put it up to 100 just so you get an idea of what type of grain to choose. So basically the way I look at it is if you start on a smaller size, this reminds me of like digital grain or whatever. If you increase the size, it's almost bringing out like an old film look, like as if you were to use a film camera. So I like to have rough size pretty high, so around 60-ish. And then just the total amount, I usually keep it, depending on the photo, between 10 and 20. So just keep it at a 14. So as you can tell, it doesn't really make a huge difference, but it just adds that little extra bit. And then for calibration, yeah, I'm just going to adjust the hues just a little bit. Okay, I'm just going to keep it at that. Probably right there. Greens. I'm going to drop them a little bit. Alright, that's basically it. So going from before to after, this is a very quick like 10-minute tutorial on how to edit a image in Lightroom, following the editing style that I use. Be sure to like this video, be sure to subscribe, and then be sure to hit the bell to get notifications on future videos. Thanks for watching. Peace out.